Hi folks, my name is Kevin Dunn, and welcome to Agency Unfiltered, a bi-weekly web series and podcast that interviews agency owners around agency operations, growth, and scale. Nobody knows how to scale agencies better than those that are already doing it, and they're happy to share an unfiltered look into what has worked and what hasn't. As the founder of the Finland-based agency Sales Communications, Jani made a significant investment in offering education, workshops, and classroom-style training as a service. These trainings, which run year-round, have done wonders for his agency's flywheel. Jani tells us about the structure of his classroom training offering, the value and trust, the impact on revenue, and how others can get started. This is Agency Unfiltered.
Well, welcome to Agency Unfiltered. We're absolutely excited to have you on today. I think what we're going to talk about is something that's top of mind for a number of agencies, and that is offering like classroom-style training, workshop-style training. And I think you guys are doing something really unique. So maybe the best place to start, just explain at a high level kind of your system and how you've been rolling out workshops for clients and prospects.
We have been doing workshops like the whole 6 years that we have been doing HubSpot and being HubSpot partners as a training tool. But I think that a year ago we started to realize that it doesn't scale if we have a one workshop that we try to sell and try to get people in, because you have to do it many times a year. The marketing thing, and you get the top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Try to get and then you get the people in. It's really hard. So what we did was we started as a subscription-based training service mixed with the free webinars and a freemium training model. So basically what we'll do, we have this rolling calendar about HubSpot-related training issues, the flywheel, the service hub, the customer, the CRM and the marketing and all the tools. And we rolled that in a quarterly basis. And then people can come as many, as they want to trainings, and it's like a hop on basis type of thing. You pick and choose what you want, and we sell that as a 12-month retainer and 12-month training package on the top of the HubSpot license.
So if I kind of visualize this, you said there's the free webinar that they can attend. But then there is the opportunity to buy that one-time classroom. They can just sit in, purchase a training, a seat there.
Yeah.
But then there's also the subscription model where, however, is it just unlimited? However many times they want to sit in, they can. Yeah. And that's good for an entire 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing how we came up to this whole concept of giving like training as a service, like HubSpot training as a service, classroom training. We around about a year ago, we took all the customers that we have and put them on an Excel sheet. And try to understand what are they buying, how much are they buying, how profitable they are, and then this kind of ABC categories for customers. And we realized that 50% of the customers was producing 10% of the revenue. And that was like an aha moment, that a lot of customers had not so much money. What are we actually selling? It was like, small time, can I do this? How do I do that? How do I do that? Basically, questions were answered, like a couple of €100 or 1,000 or workshops or
just
trainings.
Small stakes type stuff. Yeah.
And then we just thought that, okay, how much time we spend with these customers? And we understand that this customer base is taking a lot of time, and it doesn't produce that much revenue, and certainly some of them are really good profitability. The profitability is on place, but mostly it's not. So we thought that, okay, how do we fix this thing? How do we make that better? And then we thought, okay, all the how-tos, all the how-to questions, we'll start to produce knowledge-based articles and try to get this flywheel going, that people are asking questions. The HubSpot users in Finland, they ask Finnish language questions. How do I log into HubSpot? How the CRM works? Everything that they possibly can. So we write content to that and make the screen capture.
So the questions you get from your customers
yeah.
influence your own knowledge base. Content
Exactly.
That you create.
So that's we can get this kind of scalable material, and we get more questions, and it builds like this. Organic is very good on that. And then we thought that this is not enough. Just answer the questions on the internet. So we started to invite them. Like we understand that these are the big questions that they ask. Yeah. Let's have a training on that. Mm-hmm. We started on webinars. Like come to the webinar and we'll answer this. Yeah. And then we started to do the classroom trainings because we understood that people need time with the trainer. Mm-hmm. They don't have that time inside the organization. One-to-one. Yeah, right. So that they can ask their questions.
Right.
So we extend.
And that's something that a webinar just doesn't necessarily. It just doesn't solve for. Yeah.
It doesn't. You can have 200 people there or 100 people there, and there's a couple of people who are asking all the questions.
It's questions and strategy in a very general sense. Yeah.
But we love the questions.
Right.
Get the guest questions in, put them on the knowledge base, get this flywheel going, and then when we started that, we realized that there's no point of selling one training at the time. Let's sell a subscription because the customers are on a subscription-based model with HubSpot. We'll offer as an extension a training service and so on. We try to keep the trainings like 8 to 12 people, small groups.
So small groups.
Small groups, and do it a lot.
Right.
It's really good for they have the question, they come, they get answered, they go on a workflow, they get the NPS. How did we survive on answering your questions? That NPS is, by the way, 100.
Yeah.
So people love
a pretty good score.
yeah.
Solid score.
That was a really good. So what actually happened with that 50% of the customers?
Yeah.
Their average purchasing price started to go up. Then we started to think about, okay, what is happening here? And we understand one thing. Once we get them into the classroom training, we start to build trust with the customers.
Yeah.
We start to understand their business. We can serve them better, and it's a very good trust building momentum.
Yeah.
So when they have a website project, who they're gonna call?
Yeah, the people they trust.
People they trust, and who actually can help them and knows their business and what they need to accomplish, and so on. So it's a bit of a good scalable flywheel, tiny little going on Finland on this training material.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you said 8 to 12 people, so obviously intentionally small.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming to your point about like one-to-one coaching, it just gives everyone a chance to have like the instructor customize what they're teaching. For the subscription service, do you have any data, like how many times do you see somebody who purchases a subscription? Like how many sessions or how many workshops do they actually attend?
They, in the early stage, they attend to everything.
Yeah.
They try to get as much as value in a short period of time. And then it comes this kind of a dip that they don't come. And we started to because we have to watch the churn.
Right.
On all subscription-based business, the churn is killing the business if the customers are happy. But what actually is happening, they get so much information, they have to digest that.
Sure. All right, let me go put it into practice. Like I just have to synthesize it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they go on a one-to-one consulting with our HubSpot consultants, talk about their businesses. How do we get this flywheel going? How do we do this and this and this? And can you do an ebook or a webinar series or whatever they need? So they attend, I would say, around about 4 to 6 to 8 in 2 or 3 months.
Got it. Yeah, it's a lot of training.
It's a lot of training.
Yeah.
Then they are like really stuffed with the information. So then we have to wait. We're working on that process now. How do we get them involved more?
Anticipating the dip and how do we...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it tends to move to one-to-one consulting.
Got it.
They understand. Luckily, HubSpot is a very good company, producing new features all the time, new feature. So that keeps us going.
Well, that's what. So you got to learn all the new stuff that comes
exactly.
out.
And so on. So what we do is that there's a promise that we give to the customers: we'll never raise your price.
So you grandfather in always.
Always.
Yeah.
If you buy it now, that's the price. And we tend to raise that price 2 times a year.
Oh, got it.
So and add more value. In the high ticket and the best. We have a single license, so you can buy as a single user. We have a team license up to 3 persons, and then we have a corporate license which is up to 5, and so on. And we give so much value. There is on On the corporate level, they pretty much can have 5 people attending 24 workshops in a year.
It's a lot, yeah.
Then, because we realized that some of the companies are not very happy to talk their personal issues in a room with other customers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So they want to have a private training.
Yeah. They don't want to unpack all of their issues
Exactly.
in the
And they say that we need our CEO to come here, we need our CTO come here, and we need to work this flywheel thing together and work. So what we did, we gave them 8 days for free on the corporate team.
For just their team.
Just their team.
Got it.
So my idea is to train everybody in Finland, in Finnish language, hands-on. They get so much training that they can pick and choose what they want. And we actually do it so that before the trainings, we'll get all the necessary data out of their HubSpot and all the tools, so we start to work with the KPIs. For us,
got it.
We help them to do better business, and at the same time, we help us to sell better to them our services, which is
more
a website
contextualized to what their needs are. Sure.
Integrations, all that app development, websites, and so on.
Well, having them open up the hood like that just gives you so many insights as to like what do they really need help with, and you can kind of cater a package to that.
Exactly, and with that model, we can come up on a really cool pricing thing. So if we on a single package we charge like 250 euros. That's like $220 or something a month for a single person. 24 workshops, which you can choose. So that's a good deal.
I would say so, yes.
That's a very good deal to do it. And we do it so that we have the big decks ready and made, so it scales really up, because then we have to have
you're not building decks from scratch for every workshop.
No.
So that actually kind of leads to my next question. On your side, how do you operationalize, right? So I would assume that it scales really well, but there had to have been a ton of time investment to get all of these decks, the workshops, the talk track for facilitating the workshops. What sort of like time and resource investment does that look like?
Yeah, on that 50% of the customers who was producing that 10% of the revenue back in the days where we started, those were the questions that they were asking that we are actually putting on the program.
Got it.
So we've already answered to them. We've already done that work at some point. And now we took like all our internal content production to support that.
Got it.
And we tried to get the flywheel going. We need the questions. The more questions we have, the more answers that we can give. The more answers that we can give, the more traffic that it builds, the more trust it would build, the more Google #1 positions to be. And Finland is an island of 5 million people talking one single language.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a really good position to be.
Yeah.
Because we can actually beat HubSpot on articles like, what is HubSpot?
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
But it's really cool to see like our Google, like, what is HubSpot? We #1, we #2, HubSpot is #3.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of, and we link. Yeah. We link everything and
well, if you're going to create that much content, you must have the necessary internally.
And with the HubSpot Academy, we tell to our customers what kind of courses they need to do from the Academy side in order to them to hit their numbers and be better at theirs. And we kind of not mix our content with the Academy content. It's like a extension. Both works like nicely together.
Yeah. And they feel like puzzle pieces. They're not
exactly.
They're not talking the exact same concept.
Before the classroom training, there's a workflow like week before the training. The attendees have like links that they should read. That these are the ones
prerequisites.
Exactly. These are the ones you should know before you come to the workshop. Because these are the ones that we are not going to go into the workshop. We're going to go full hands-on. And for example, flywheel workshop is that we are not talking about the flywheel that much on the course. We'll talk like what this means into your business for the people who are.
But if they go take the funnel to flywheel course, and you're trying to build off that versus teach the same.
Exactly. And the real thing is, how do we make this into practice? Like with using the HubSpot tool now in this room. And I think that the big value comes out of that they have time in a safe environment, ask those questions, which is really important to them.
Right.
And there is somebody who can actually give answer face to face now.
That's great.
And that's the biggest value is that, because normally our clients and HubSpot clients, they have their job to do. They have their normal Monday to Friday and normal kind of things doing what they ever do in their office. And the training part is not that big weekly.
Sure, it can get lost in the shuffle, right?
Exactly,
so now you have an
exactly.
entire day dedicated,
Yeah.
so it forces
Exactly.
you to be reflective.
And with those customers who fall into the dip after spending huge amounts of time in the early stage,
Yep.
they come back.
So after the dip, they do come back in.
They do come back in, but they are not doing the same course. So what we need to do is deliver new courses all the time and be more specific. For example, this is the strategy tool, how to use that on a content strategy, how to build a pillar page.
So get deeper on smaller tools or topics.
How to use the reporting tool, how to use the ads tool, and the trainings are going from 1 day to 1 hour or 2 hours courses and so on.
It's a little more modular in that regard.
Yes, exactly.
Let me ask you this. What does staffing look like for this? So is this somebody's part-time job amongst other things? Do you have a full-time workshop facilitator? How does the staffing and resource allocation look?
We have trainers who do this, but not like their full job.
Okay.
We use this tool in training our own internal staff also. And when we have a new consultant in, they have to do certain certifications out of the HubSpot Academy, and then they attend our hands-on training.
Oh, so they attend just like anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when they know the Marketing Hub, for example, like everything that it has to offer, we put them on stage.
Oh, so it's part of onboarding
onboarding. Teach these other persons who doesn't know as much as you do, and it creates this kind of a interesting flywheel going there also. They have to learn.
Yeah, because the best way to learn is to teach, right?
Exactly, exactly. They have to learn in order that they can be, super professional in the front of the crowd, and it creates a good environment in the organization.
So you have instructors, but it also sounds like there's an element of the shared responsibility where it is just a part of onboarding where they have to.
One person is accountable for one training.
Got it.
There's a person who understands the Service Hub. There's a person who understands the
So
CRM.
it is associated by topic.
Topic, yes.
Got it.
Yes. For example, our sales is doing the sales tools.
Got it.
Because they need to know it. They need to use it. I'm a big believer of try it and have your errors and try it and get the experience and adapt and learn what these things are meaning for you before you go and tell it to other people.
Yeah.
Because too much theory kills the feeling.
Sure.
In the classroom, so you have to have use cases. I think that everything starts with technologies.
Yeah, we want to see real world examples. Yeah,
exactly. They need to answer the questions. For example, this is a tool. This is the bot we can use. For example, we use it. They use it on these kind of purposes. Yeah. Is this good for you? Then they're like, yes, but we would like to have that in.
Yeah, right. This tweak to it. Right,
yes, exactly. And then we're on a training like, okay, this is how it's done.
Yeah.
This is how it's done. So.
And then they can do it in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Final question for you. Ask this every episode.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest part of agency life?
The whole agency life.
Oh yes.
It's what is the weirdest? That's a very good question. Depends how weird you are.
Weird is subjective, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I know. I think one of the weirdest thing is that how much you have to learn before you start to teach somebody else and understand that everybody starts from really scratch and take the time to understand that they are not that advanced as you are. And go down into or up, whatever, or side to the same place that the customers actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that develops over time. When we came to Inbound, 2014, the CRM came. And we had a marketing tool customers, we had a Marketing Hub customers. We went to them and said that HubSpot just released the CRM. You should start to use it. And they're like, no. Why? Year went, 2 years, and now we're in a situation that everybody wants to have a HubSpot CRM. It's a cool thing. Now they get it.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating in the early stage. So what we learned is that every time that new feature comes, we started to use it by ourselves, try to adapt, understand, not talk about that with the customers at all.
Sure, we have to really synthesize it ourselves.
Exactly.
So how much you have to learn yourself before
Exactly.
you can
And then try to understand the use cases and go with the use cases to the customer and then present it to them.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the weirdest things is that. And one other thing is that when you're hiring a salesperson, you only know whether they are good or bad or producing any results after they've worked with you 6 months. If you ask, like, are you a good one?
Yeah.
Are you a good sales guy? They would say, yes, I am. But
every
you will
single
know, is it the true or false answer after
need
6
to take
months?
6 months. Yeah, right.
So hiring part is something
it's very strange at times.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for
Yes.
coming on. But that's it for us. That was Agency
Thank you.
Unfiltered. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Agency Unfiltered. If you like what you saw, heard, or read, make sure to subscribe to our playlist on YouTube, our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or our newsletter on agencyunfiltered.com. Alongside episode launch notifications, the newsletter also comes with a ton of other helpful, strategically curated agency content from yours truly. And if you want to keep the conversation going or provide a counterpoint to this episode's discussion, tweet me at Kevin_Dunn. I'll see you again in 2 weeks, but in the meantime, keep it unfiltered and let's all grow.